Hello everyone, I am the Weather Dude, welcome back, and today we're going to be discussing several major snowstorms that will be sweeping across the eastern half of the United States over the next week or two, basically highlighting the areas that need to watch out for some potentially heavy snow and whether you could be impacted. So definitely be sure to stay tuned for this video, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, we're going to get right into it here, starting off just looking at the alerts that are currently in place by the National Weather Service. Alright, so if we take a look here, you can see we're starting off in the west. We do have some winter storm warnings on the higher elevations there in California. Of course, we also have some flood alerts because there is a bomb cyclone currently going on in the northwest, right? And basically, a bomb cyclone is basically a low pressure, right? Achieves bombogenesis as the term. It's when it strengthens very rapidly in like a 24-hour period. You can almost kind of think of it like rapid intensification with a hurricane, just a little bit different. Very strong low pressure, leading to some stormy conditions there right now. Got some winter weather advisories out there for the northern half of Montana, but the areas I do want to definitely focus on are the winter weather advisories and the winter storm warnings from the Appalachia up into the northeast, states like North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, PA, and New York, and even parts of like northern Jersey. All places that could be impacted here by both this storm and maybe some more coming up. So we're going to be talking about all of what's going on right now, basically till the end of the month. And we also have in Mississippi and Alabama, in the states in the south, we do have some frost advisories and some freeze warnings and freeze watches. So it's definitely going to be a cold one here in the eastern half of the U.S. for sure. Take a look here at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, and you can see what I'm talking about. Basically, it's just we're like in a cold snap right now. It's emphasized in the eastern half of the country, but in the west as well. I mean, we do have some below average temperatures expected from the period of the 29th of November to December 5th. So a lot of cold air. So, if we get some storms coming through like we're expecting, maybe some areas could get their first big snow this season. I know, in the mid-Atlantic states and parts of the Northeast had their first snow, myself being one of them. I got to see some snow for a little bit. It was pretty nice. But we could see the chance for maybe some bigger snowstorms to work their way in during this period. Precipitation outlook. Basically, for the southeast, it's kind of all over the place here, right? We got the southeast. We can see a chance for above average precip. South Texas as well. Kind of like the northern Great Lakes states, maybe the Central Plains. And also or for the West Coast, I should say, where we can see some drier times, right? So once this storm moves out, maybe some slightly drier times. Will there be no precip? No, but it just means drier than expected or drier than normal. From November 29th again through December 5th. Also a little splash here in the middle of the country. Could even see some below average precip, including Memphis and St. Louis. If we take a look here at the risk of heavy snow, this is an experimental graphic here that and there's like temperature, precip, snow, and wind. I think they're on the Climate Prediction Center's website. So I'm gonna take a look at the risk of heavy snow map to kind of highlight what I'm talking about here. So during this period, again from November 29th to December 2nd, the interior Northeast has the chance to see some heavy snow during that time period. And in that same time period, also the UP of Michigan as well as western of the LP of Michigan could see some heavy snow as well during that same time period. So again, these two areas are the areas to watch for that heavy snow. Let's take a look real quick before we get into some models. We're going to take a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation Index as well as the PNA, Pacific North American, both oscillations here to kind of explain where we're at right now. So notice this huge drop throughout the month of November down to its low here. And because the NAO has dropped so much, this is why, especially in the eastern half of the country, notice how we're seeing the cold plunge and we're seeing increased amount of of storms and even winter storms. So this is correlated, right? We saw a cold plunge also back, late September, early October for that same reason. We had the NAO drop to a very low value, and it's doing that same thing again. So that is why we're seeing the pattern that we're seeing right now. The PNA, for it to have the same effect as a negative NAO, the PNA would normally have to be positive. It's kind of hovering around this zero line right now, so basically flat and really not too high or too low, but it has been steadily coming down as well throughout the month of November, but hovering flat. But still, the NAO is really what is driving this pattern right now. It's one of the oscillations that really explains things well of what's going on. All right, so let's get into some models. Let's take a look first at the jet stream over the next 10 days or so. All right, so this is the Canadian model, just showing you what we could be seeing. So here's the storm we're having right now over the weekend in the Northeast. And then we're going to have another storm come in potentially late next weekend. All right, so we got that dip in the jet stream that was, pretty profound, right? And then we get into a period where, jet stream's a bit flattered, right? The low pressure systems are a bit weaker. right? They kind of roll across, but then there's that big one at the end that you saw right there. And that's where we could be seeing the major snowstorms potentially setting up across the east. I'm going to let it play one more time so you can see right here. There's the dip right there. Dip in the jet stream, pretty much like this one, right? So that's going to be leading to the increased thunderstorm activity. And of course, where there's cold air, increased snowfall activity. So let's take a look at the models. Let's continue on here. We're going to start with the European model for the actual precip ones. We're going to do European, GFS, and Canadian. So you can see a European model, nothing too exciting happening, right? But we do see, right, after the first storm moves out, right, this is middle of next week, we see a little clipper system move through New England, then maybe another low pressure system that is strengthening, or that will strengthen off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic. All the models agree on this. What they don't agree on necessarily is, where it sets up, how strong it'll actually be. But you see some snow does break out over the northeast, even getting down closer to the coast as well. I'll later play one more time here so you can see it. First low moves out. Here comes the next one with that snow setting up right in this zone in the northeast. How much snowfall are we talking about with the European here? Well, we do see across New York, Pennsylvania, partly because of the storm that we have going on right now that's adding to these totals, but still, I mean, over a foot over these next 10 days, basically through the end of the month, is still pretty impressive. And even across the northeast, several inches of snow, with those pinkish areas seeing potentially, or the potential for 6 inches plus of snowfall. Going over to the northwest, look at the Sierra Nevada here in California. I mean, we're talking way over 5 feet of snow just through the end of this month, basically the next like 8 days or so, 9 days. And even in the Rocky Mountains in general, we're going to see some heavier snow as well as the northern plains. You could even pick up on a few inches of snow. All right, next, GFS. So here comes, now they have that system. So the Canadian had it a bit further south here, but the GFS, right? So I'll kind of mark it here. So here's so basically just a little bit of comparison. So GFS has that first clipper system going a bit further to the north, right? Which means warmer air can come in and maybe some rain for New England, all right? But then look what happens here. Low pressure forms off the coast, dumps some snow across New England, not as much, but there is still snow there nonetheless. There's a low pressure forming off the coast, could combine with some cold air to potentially bring in that snowfall, right? Again, this is right around the end of the month. So again, there's agreement. It's just a disagreement on what exactly will happen. So the GFS definitely painting a picture there for potential of basically a clipper system to come through midweek, dump some minor snowfall or mix of rain and snow depending on where you are in the northeast, and then another system come in later that could dump some heavier snow depending on the exact track, right? And this second storm could impact the Mid-Atlantic, the northeast, and even the Midwest initially, right? Because you can see there's going to be like an upper level low that will kind of combine with it. You'll see it coming down here. I'll let it play one more time. You can see right here, a little disturbance that will combine. So maybe 2 storms combine here. Again, everything is on the table right now, and we're just going to try and break it down as accurately as we can at the moment. Total snowfall here to GFS. Again, this is from now. So again, because we know there's that storm happening in the northeast right now. But still, even over the next 9 days, we could see several areas that get 3 to 6 inches. Maybe in some of the mountains, 6 to 12. And in the highest peaks, maybe 1 to 2 feet plus. For example, like Mount Washington, you could get a couple of feet out of this. Of course, you're like 6,000 feet up. But still, several inches of snow could fall across the northeast, even over the upper Midwest, Minnesota, down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and the Great Lakes. You could even see a few inches of snow. And again, of course, in the Intermountain West, of course, you guys will also be picking up on a lot of snowfall, 6 to 12 inches, of course, depending on your elevation, probably over 6 feet if you're in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada. All right, Canadian model. Taking a look here, you can see, look at this big storm. All right, so this is the one that definitely, that's why I wanted to kind of ended off with this one, because it definitely paints a picture of a bigger storm. But again, you can see it's similar to the other models, just not similar in strength and track. So here's the first clipper system, dumping some snow, and then second storm dumping even more. So it's like, punch 1 and then punch 2 essentially, right? Part A and part B. And you can see clipper system comes through, right? Weaker, dumps some snow, but then there's that track just off the coast, and it's a perfect track to where we could see the snow set up kind of right in this quarter. I'll let it play out one more time, and there you go. Basically from West Virginia, Ohio up to Maine, in the interior northeast, you can pick up some major snowfall here and over the next 9 days, particularly towards the end of the month. So let's end it off here with the snowfall totals with the Canadian model. Definitely the most bullish out of the 3. But we know these do shift around sometimes, so we'll have to keep our eye on it here. But you can definitely see 6 to 12 and widespread actually in this zone I just circled, 12 inches plus, and even some of the higher elevations, maybe even 2 feet plus. But don't don't leave out the northern plains either, right? Because you guys could see some 2 to 4, even 3 to 6 plus snow totals. And of course the models seem to agree. The Intermountain West, the Rockies usually do get a lot of snow from these incoming systems, but again, it's all dependent on your elevation. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Definitely stay tuned for more updates in the future. I am the Weather Dude signing off till next time, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.